Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the convention is always an opportunity for us to look at new products, look at new services, chance to renew friendships and build networks, an opportunity for us to talk with the press, but it's always a time to also discuss aviation policy because nothing really impacts our industry quite the way policies do from the federal, state, and local government. So we're very excited to have with us today a couple of people in the House of Representatives and the United States Senate who have been instrumental in shaping public policy in a very positive way for our industry. A lot of people have been talking about this current session of Congress, and they've been lamenting the fact that it seems that in this particular Congress, nothing seems to get done. It doesn't seem like we're getting any bills passed. Where's the activity? Well, the reality is, for our industry, this has been an enormously productive and an enormously efficient and positive session of Congress. I say that because we started the year and we were able to get legislation passed to preserve the Blocked Aircraft Registration Request Program, the BAR program. We were able on Valentine's Day, after years and years of effort and 23 extensions, to get an FAA bill passed that promoted NextGen, that preserved GA slots at Reagan National Airport, that had new language that helped make it easier to certify airplanes, and workable language on foreign repair stations. We were able to get an FAA bill passed that did not have aviation user fees. We were also able to get Export-Import Bank financing passed. We've been able to get legislation passed with a pilot's Bill of Rights. And we're this close to passing legislation that would resolve the issue of the EU ETS. In every one of those pieces of legislation, we have had a strong and dominant champion in the House of Representatives, the chairman of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. John Mica from Orlando, Florida, went to Congress as a congressman in 1992, and for 22 years, he's been establishing himself and proving himself as a master legislator. We're enormously grateful that he has provided that talent, that expertise, that leadership, not just to the Congress, but for our industry. Please help me welcome Chairman John Mica. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Ed, and welcome to Central Florida, folks from all over the United States and the world attending this great convention. Pleased to be with you, pleased to welcome you. My district is a little bit to the north of here, but represent all of Central Florida, honored to represent Florida and serve in the United States Congress. Of course, you can't open today if you're involved in transportation, but to mention the situation in the Northeast. A lot of our fellow Americans have been hit by a tremendous natural disaster. Of course, our thoughts and prayers are with them. And of course, the Congress of the United States has a responsibility, and we in government do have the responsibility to make certain that all aspects of their lives, including transportation, are restored. That is one of our important roles in government, and we can do that. We have done it in the past, and we'll do it this time. So I'm pleased also to be honored by welcoming and have the presence of Jerry Moran. Served with Jerry, the House of Representatives. We're so proud of him in the United States Senate. Thank you, Jerry, for your work and being with us today, Jerry. He does a great job representing business aviation. Drug my butt out there to Kansas a couple of times and looked at all aspects of aviation. He is a wonderful person to have on your side and serving in the august body of the United States Senate. Now, they said that when I would come to welcome NBAA to Central Florida, that it would be a cold day in Central Florida. In fact, when and if we had passed both an FAA bill and a transportation bill. And I can tell you, we just about broke the record today if we didn't break the record, because it is a cold day here. But We do welcome you. We hope you spend a lot of time and spend a lot of money on Central Florida. Our economy needs it. And don't spend too many time listening to boring speeches or going to meetings. There's golf out there waiting for you and a whole host of activities. I thought your theme that no plane, no gain was absolutely perfect. The theme that you undertook, and trying to educate both the general public, members of Congress, and those in power about the importance of business aviation. I think that I'm here. I wish I could tell you that the war on business aviation is over, but all I can tell you is maybe there's a slight ceasefire, and here maybe to report a little bit on what's taking place. There's some people who just don't get it. They don't understand that, in fact, business aviation is one of the great economic engines of our economy and one of the great economic engines of a free enterprise system where people are free to go anywhere unless government stops them, unless government declares war on them, and unless government puts so many regulations and impediments, taxes, and unfair rules of the game. Now, when we did the FAA bill, and again, I enjoy working with Ed and all of your folks. I see Lisa, Dick here, and others that we've worked with. I saw other associations, GAMA's representative, saw Pete Bunce. But it's all of us working together that are responsible, actually, for taking a bill that was almost 5 years late, that sets out the parameters for 8% of our economic activity in the United States, an FAA bill, and getting it passed. I'm pleased to be here to tell you we did it without huge increases in spending. We had no additional regulations on the industry. In fact, you heard an outline of some of the things we did. And also, we had no user fees. So whether it's an unfair tax like a user fee, whether it's an impending tax, and the courts have defined it like a national health care plan, the power to tax is the power to destroy, and it can be for your industry. We've seen the examples. Look at the past administrations. One of them was going to take it out not on aviation, business aviation, but on luxury yachts and boats. That sounded like the right thing to do. And they just about crippled that industry, put it out of business, and almost destroyed, again, an important industry that employs people and is an important part of our economy. So sometimes they don't learn, and you have to remind them. And that's why I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're continuing to send the message that no plane, no gain. Let me just talk about a couple of other things, too. As Congress returns, and Jerry knows about this, we've got some important tax issues that affect you, and financial issues that affect the stability of this nation and our place in the global market. They must be resolved, and the fiscal cliff that we're facing, if we work together, I think we can come up with a solution. If we can pass that FAA bill and transportation bill, I know we can keep us going financially. The other thing, too, in addition to the challenge you face with the taxes and instability in the financial policy, is keeping our good friends at EPA at bay. Now, I believe that we do need regulation, and it's important that you have appropriate regulation, in particular in industry as important as aviation. But EPA is, again, another obstacle that we face. If they're not trying to impose user fees, I think it's unfair that they should force fuels on us that will ruin aviation engines. So we've got to resolve that issue. Again, I think we need to all be good stewards of our environment, but again, it has to be reasonable, and that's something else we need to keep a balance. And one of the other things that I get involved in, having created I've often referred to it as my bastard child, EPA. I'm sorry, not EPA, TSA. I didn't create EPA, but I did create TSA, is keeping them at bay, particularly with trying to get them to lessen some of the bureaucracies, some of the reach, and some reasonableness in the process. The problem is not business aviations or Americans flying or a whole host of folks. It's people who pose a risk, and you don't pose a risk, and there has to be reason to that process also. Finally, in the bill, one of the things that we did, and we've fallen behind in taking us from a post-World War II ground-based radar system and air traffic control. And we actually, I think, missed the mark for those 5 years. We didn't have a bill in setting new parameters, milestones, and actually some good guidelines and someone in charge of making certain that the next generation air traffic control moves forward. And that is something that I'm pleased that is in the bill. Now we've got to make it happen. I appreciate the testimony your organization and others have provided and willingness, but we can move that clock forward. It is important that the United States takes the lead in developing air traffic control systems, the software, the hardware, the whole systems, and continue to be the leader in aviation industry in the world. Finally, let me close by saying that what we have to look at for business aviation, I believe, are carrots, not sticks. When it comes to tax policy or any of the other regulatory policy, even security policy that I've talked about. We've got to continue on the assault we face not only sometimes domestically from our own regulatory agencies and the federal government, but also the European Union, who's set to impose an unfair emissions trading scheme tax on commercial and business aviation. And we have that measure before us. The Senate, the House are acting. We need to get that done before we leave and not leave you at bay. The other thing, too, is I know the acting administrator's not with us today. It's great to have an acting administrator in FAA, but we need a permanent administrator in FAA as soon as possible. It's difficult enough to deal with an agency that has an administrator, let alone one that only has an acting administrator, and you know what I mean. So I'm here to join you in sending the message, no plane, no gain. I want to help stop the war on business aviation, and I think together we can do that. And I want to also thank folks like FedEx and all of you here who've participated in humanitarian effort. You do a great job, not only in keeping people employed, keeping business going in the United States, keeping commerce moving through the air, but you also do a great job in helping your fellow men and women and mankind, and I salute you on that effort. The job isn't done. We've got a lot more work to do, but there isn't anything that we can't accomplish if we all come together and work together and get the job done. Thank you for coming to Central Florida. God bless you. Have a great stay.